you know those days where you're just locked in, you feel like you can sit in your chair all day and you can just click through stuff and fly through work and you're like, well, today's video is going to be about this. This is called a regulated nervous system, or it's called the zone of tolerance for today's video simplicity. And it's like one of the most, it's honestly the secret weapon in entrepreneurship. When you can regulate your nervous system, it actually creates an electromagnetic pull towards you and it brings people towards you instead of you having to chase them. And to help validate this, I just got another brand deal on my phone where they're essentially paying me monthly to create content, and then I get 20% residuals, and they've been making over like 3K on their lowest creative. So like, that's a pretty cool hack, right? And it all comes from having a regulated nervous system. I gotta get a little bit more room here for you guys, but what we're gonna talk about today is number one, like the zone of tolerance. Let's just start there because I think we should always start with what we're after. So the zone of tolerance, as I stated here, is when you feel centered and grounded. So you're in one place. So it's like the Buddhist monks say, when you eat, you eat. When you sleep, you sleep. When you work, right? And it's like you're in that mindset. Like you're not in scarcity where you're like, oh, I got to do 700 things and find that next thing and another thing. And you're not urgently, and we'll get to where those zones are, right? But it's like you're centered, you're grounded, you're focused, you're motivated. You might not have the highest energy because sometimes that can be in the overwhelm space. But it's like you have enough and you can just kind of, like today, I'm like, I'm going to rip through and edit because I'm centered and grounded. Like I'm not going to create. It's already been created. Now we just have to assemble it, right? And it's like, that's perfect for the zone of tolerance. And when you're in that zone, you're very attractive, right? And this is a little bit of metaphysical stuff, but believe me, the science here is insane. So then we go to outside of the zone of tolerance where most people spend their life. And it's like, this is a very slender zone, as you can see here, because it's hard to stay in there, right? Like you have to do maintenance like a car. You gotta like, you know, that's why I work out. When I got too much energy, I work out heavy and I ground, and that's when my workout's over. And then it's like, when I'm stuck down here, I'm like, ugh, I'm dragging. So then I do lighter cardio, kinesthetics, like just simple body weight movements, and I get my energy flowing, right? So most of the time, a lot of people sit here in the overwhelmed state. So this is where you fight or flight. It doesn't matter what comes in. Somebody could be like, dude, I got the best brand deal for you. And you're like, oh yeah, I don't need a brand deal. Or, you know, it's like, or you'll be like, I don't even want to message them back. And you can't tell yourself why, but it's the best opportunity for you, right? Because when we're in this state of overwhelm, our cortisol's high, and cortisol is a stress hormone that energy drinks actually don't give you energy. They dump cortisol in you, which is adrenal corticoid, which is adrenaline. And you'll get the sweaty armpits, even though you're like, you know, cool. You'll have sometimes overthinking will come in, or it's like you don't have enough time, you don't have enough energy, you don't have enough of anything, right? So that is the overwhelm, and that's typically from taking on too many things, right? Like you don't have enough money, so now you got to work more. You also have a deadline of when that's due, and it's all these scenarios, and it's like you're living in a state of cortisol if that's happening. And a self-sufficient creator can't live here or here. You have to live here. Ooh, get that finger in there. You have to live in that zone of tolerance, because if you're overwhelmed and you're fighting and flighting, you could be missing every opportunity coming in your inbox because you're too afraid to address it or too busy, or you're starting fights that aren't necessary because you're triggered and it's just like your response and you're not aware of it, right? And then the flip of that is being stuck. And that, I think, is almost worse than being in fight or flight sometimes. So stuck is, and I'll say these out loud. I just did this because I know y'all are creatives. Put it up here. So stuck is typically overthinking, too many ideas. It's no motivation and no energy. I had to remember what I wrote there. But essentially, it's like the people who are like, man, they have all the great ideas in the world, but they don't start acting on them. And that's typically due to being too many steps ahead, right? Like we've talked previously, like you got the past, present, and future. And if you live too much in the future and you're looking at tomorrow all the time, you're gonna be overwhelmed, right? And then if you're looking at yesterday and looking at all your mistakes and everything you didn't do right, and you know, you got an idea, but then you never get started on it because you procrastinate it, because you're not breaking it up into simple steps, and you're trying to do it all in one sitting, that's going to put you stuck, because then you're going to actually overthink, which overthinking is actually working on the project, and it's not physically, it's mentally. Like we get to choose whether we physically or mentally work on anything. And sometimes I'll feel myself sit in my mind, and I will stick myself on purpose so that I can create all the different scenarios and stuff in my mind. So when I'm behind the computer in the saddle, I'm like, click, click, click. Ah, I don't like that. Cool. Next one. Da-da-da-da-da. And it can be a good ideating phase. So sometimes I'll put myself into this stuck phase where I get all these ideas generating. And then when I'm like, all right, that's a lot generating, let's get behind the saddle and start seeing which ones work, right? So you can hack the system a little bit. But over here too, it's like, this is too grounded. This is living too much in the past. Like you can be too grounded. You're like, and I've been really grounded lately. Like even walking into there, I'm like, kind of like a T-Rex. I'm just like, I'm not in a hurry and can't make my bed either. There's a little joke, but then it's like, if you're on too many energy drinks and stimulants to focus, you're gonna be in the overwhelm phase. But when you're here in this zone of tolerance, now that we're back to there, it's like you feel centered, you feel grounded, like you're not in a hurry. You need to get stuff done, but you have plenty of time to do it. And when you're in this energy, it's super cool. It creates a signal, kind of like Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, and it just puts it out to the world that you feel good, you're getting stuff done, and people want to start working with you. And I know this isn't your typical marketing standard, but if you look at some of the top entrepreneurs in the world, they all really focus on their health and wellness. And it's not because they're trying to live as long as they can. They know this secret. And they know that the better that they stay in that zone of tolerance and do the maintenance for their body and their soul and keep their cortisol suppressed, and they'll take some nootropics. I meant to put that in the beginning of this video as like some nootropics I take to help stay in this zone of tolerance to avoid stimulants or lion's mane. I do 1 to 3 grams a day, and towards the 2 and 3 gram, like if you can hold the gastric upset that comes with it, there are like, it's like I'm in an Asperger's tunnel. I'm focused, I'm grounded, I'm energized, and the neuroplasticity is insane after like a month. And it's just like I'm locked in and I can't help but working all day, right? And then I'll take 2 to 3 grams of cordyceps with that. And these are all mushroom powders. You can also get the capsules online. And no, I'm not a healthcare professional anymore, and anything I state is subjective, coming from my own reality and my own experimentation as a biologist, and what I'm doing is sharing that perspective. So you can't sue me on any of this stuff if it doesn't work. But let me tell you it works, because cordyceps are ATP, which is real cellular energy that gives you, it gives the cell energy, and when the cell has energy, you have energy, right? It's not cortisol. It's going directly to the part of the cell that generates energy for us, and it amplifies it. And then you got the lion's mane for focus and attention, that's non-stimulant based. So if you're too many stimulants, you're up here. If you stop taking stimulants, you'll end up down here. But if you like nootropics, and then I'll throw in some reishi mushrooms, some ashwagandha, just stuff to help stabilize the cortisol, right? Because you want to stay in this zone. You want to avoid this. This is what a lot of people do, is like energy drinks, coffee, caffeine, espresso, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then they're too wired, and then they go marijuana, Benadryl, reishi at night to like go down, and they're doing this instead of this. You wanna be like a little, what do they call that? A gibbous viper. You wanna just kind of like, and you don't want to ping-pong, because if you're ping-ponging, you're going to have hypercortisol, cortisol withdrawal, hypercortisol, cortisol withdrawal. And you can tell when you're in a hypercortisol state or this overwhelm, even if you're sitting here. Sometimes you can sit here so long that it feels normal. And when you actually drop down to here, you're like, whoa, something feels off. But if you wake up in the morning and your first thought is coffee, you're probably living in this state, not in this state, you know? And if you're rebounding from here all day to here at night, to here all day, to here at night, right? So it's all about staying in that zone, and it's like taking care of yourself. Like I said, like I don't work out for my body anymore, and my body has great results now, but it's like what I'll do is simply like today, I was like, man, I'm kind of feeling stuck. Because yesterday I was zooted. I had a meeting with a company here in Austin and was like, this feels good. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. And I played with that energy, right? And I had it, so I used it. And then I woke up this morning, an hour and a half late, I don't set an alarm, and was like, man, today's a good day to sit down and edit a video, right? Because I'm not like, let's go outside and create. So I went to the gym and I amplified my energy and got it right here in this zone after, what was it, probably a 30-minute workout. And I didn't do a full workout today. And I was like, and then I got my hydrotherapy massage afterwards, which zoots me. And then I sat in the sauna for 20 minutes and I was like, I'm fucking regulated, let's go. And then I came back here and I filmed this video, and then I think I got a call with somebody, and then I got to jump on and edit today. And I even set up my Wi-Fi so I could edit out at the pool right outside of my apartment. And it's like, these things are like, to understand what the zone of tolerance is for you, we're finally getting here in this video, it's just like, you have to observe your life. Stop trying to like follow everybody's schedule or calendars, because they've made it, they figured it out and they put it out there. But it's like, sample those and like try it. But the best thing I learned is from Zach Kravitz and his Community Unplugged. It was like $8 a month. And if you haven't already like joined it, it's phenomenal. But what I learned in there was like, everything is already here. We just need to observe. So what I did was start observing my day to day. What time did I wake up without an alarm? When was I feeling like working out? You know, when was I hungry? When did I feel best to work? When did I feel most social? And then I just blocked my calendar to create those time slots, which keeps me in this zone of regulation. You get that? So it's like, instead of trying to figure it out, what I'm getting at is simply just take a step back, zoom out even further from your life, and then notice when you naturally want to do stuff. That's your subconscious, the part of your body that you can't control. That's the autopilot of life that is going to tell you exactly when all those times are for you, because you could be trying to follow Alex Hormozzi's or Sam Colder's schedule, and that's specific to them. Now you need to figure out what's specific to you. And when you do that, you're going to be amazed at what happens, because whenever work gets crazy and jobs start dropping and my bank account starts dropping, I notice that I'm living in this state of overwhelm. I do a lot, and I like it. But then it's like there's a fine line, literally, in what I drew. There's a fine line between the upper end of the zone of tolerance and going into overwhelm, where I'm like, stressed as all hell. My armpits are dripping. I'm like, oh, we gotta, yeah, exactly. And then it's like, and then I rebound into that stuck zone where I'm like, I don't want to move. I'm burnt out for 3 days, and now I gotta take rhodiola. You get it? So it's simply try to stay in that zone of tolerance and don't overthink it. Allow yourself to find it. Observe, listen, watch, feel. I know this is completely backwards from what other creatives are telling you, but I've been blessed with this very backwards life that people are starting to pay attention to, and I'm excited to share it because I felt so different my whole life. But in sharing this with you, I know it works for me, and I know it will work for you when you take the time to stop, listen, observe, and feel, and stay in that zone of tolerance and get out of overwhelm and get out of feeling stuck, because you shouldn't be overthinking. You shouldn't be stressed and anxious and feeling pressure. Yes, those are great for growth, but we don't have to live there. We can live in this zone of tolerance where we feel comfortable, relaxed, and still get a lot of shit done, because even on my days off, I get more done than on days that I plan to do shit. So peace out. That's today's video. I think this was day 6 or 7. This is day 7. This is a divine gift for you. Thank you for being here. Be sure to subscribe. Give this channel a like. Check out my video after this. It's called 30 Days in ATX. If you don't live in Austin, Texas, and you always dreamed about living here, move here. Everything will happen for you. It's a really cool effect. Peace. Have a good day, and I'll see you soon.